So today we wanted to talk about how balancing work and family is super difficult. And actually, a lot of people put it off because of how difficult it is. And it's one of the reasons they don't start a business. They just end up going to a 9 to 5 and not taking the easy route, but just taking the most traveled path instead of going outside their comfort zone. And so we're going to talk about today how to get the best of we're going to talk about how to get the best of both worlds. Hey everyone, welcome to Robco TV. I'm Ashley Ashby, and this is my co-host Darren Robbins. He's my dad, and we just want to introduce ourselves. So I just finished my second year of college at BYU, and right now I'm going to be transferring to UVU and majoring in digital marketing. And so kind of dabbling in that field. I love mountain biking, hiking, all the outdoor stuff. And I'm excited to be doing this together with Darren.
Yeah, so I am Darren Robbins. I've been in digital marketing most of my career. I've worked from home most of my career, so I've been around my kids my entire career, which has been a real blessing. I love all the same things that Ashley does because she got those ideas and those things that she likes to do from our family. That's just what we do. So mountain biking, hiking, snowmobiling is another one that I would throw in there. But I love being a father too, and I love being an entrepreneur, coming up with business ideas, constantly coming up with business ideas. So I currently am a digital marketer. I work with my brother who's a loan officer. I'm a real estate agent. I generate leads for them. And then once they get them pre-approved, then I refer those buyers out to agents all over the country. I also own a storage facility, something that I've always wanted to do. And then partnered up with a good friend, and we came up with the money and started this storage facility. It's been a success. It's now paying for itself. And then I have various other small businesses that I do that are just kind of hobbies or fill-ins, but that's me. I love business. I love my family and recreating.
Yep. And so we're always talking about all your businesses ideas and stuff like that. So start a podcast where we're doing that here today. You may have seen on the news or heard about the commencement of Harrison Butcker. He gave a commencement speech and he's gotten a lot of flack from it, right? What did he say?
Their most important contribution is in the families.
Right. We actually have a statistic here that I could read off. The average age of new mothers in the U.S. is 27, according to a 2024 report from the CDC. It is a record high for the U.S. teen pregnancies to drop to record lows. More couples are getting married older, and women in general focus of their education, careers, and financial stability before having children. Did that make sense?
Yeah, so it's just saying that women are putting off marriage and family in exchange for work and career.
Right.
The age is going up.
Right. And so Harrison, he was talking about how having a family, starting that at as early as you can was important. But it seems like a lot of people are trying to be able to be financially stable.
They want the success before they start a family. They want to be, and you can't really blame people for wanting to do that because it makes sense.
Right. And so, I mean, most people just think, oh, it's impossible to be able to balance both. You got to pick one or the other. It's either be poor and struggling and have a family, or just put it off until you're ready to go.
Right. But there's reasons not to do that. Like, in my experience, I started out working, starting a business and raising a family. And the benefits I would say of doing that is it helps you improve, it helps you grow as an individual, because I don't think there's anybody on this earth that would argue that raising a family is the hardest thing you could possibly do. And so when you're trying to raise a family and start a business, manage a business, it is almost impossible. So the way that, but the benefits to doing that is the stress and how to put it, the difficulties that you go through help you learn and grow way more than if you just focused on one or the other.
Right. And so Darren here, he's my dad. We're doing this podcast together. And so I just wanted to ask him, how did you find balance between raising us? I mean, I was there. I remember a lot of it. And I had a really great childhood. So how did you balance work and family? Tell us a little bit about your story.
So I started my business when Ashley was just an infant. And I found I worked a 9 to 5, and I was working towards being able to just do this business full time. And eventually I was able to do that, but it wasn't without, I would come home from my regular job and I would work hours and hours into the night to get the business going. And eventually the business took off and it was really successful. And I found that I was working as many as 20, 21 hours a day. I would literally go to sleep for a few hours, right? And even when I was sleeping, I had business on the mind. So I didn't really sleep really well. But after a while of doing this, I realized, I'm not spending the quality time with my wife and kids that I should be. And so I had to make a mental note of that and intentionally set aside time to spend with my family. And one of the things that we did is with Ashley and her younger brother, we just decided we were going to get up in the morning before they went off to school and we were going to go play a sport. And so we started doing that. We started off with, I think we started with soccer and basketball and football. And we would just go to the gym and practice that. And it was an hour a day. And we got to where we did it every single weekday. And that time was really critical to the relationship that I have with my kids now. They'll never forget it.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, we're doing this now.
Yeah. So the relationship that we've built from doing that continues.
Right.
Because we just became so close. And I feel like my kids trusted me as they grew up. It was easy to tell them, give them guidance and direction, and they would listen to me because of the trust that they had from when I was teaching them sports. Sports is a good medium for relationships, teaching all sorts of things. And so as I would teach them, for instance, my son, he wanted to play soccer. And when I grew up, I didn't use my left foot at soccer. And so I was kind of handicapped in that way. And so I taught him, hey, you've got to use your left foot. So we helped him develop that. And as he started playing really competitive soccer, he realized just how valuable that was, that he could kick just as good with his left foot as he could with his right. And so that him trusting me with that advice, he trusted me with other things, and same thing with Ashley.
Yeah. So do you feel like because you spent so much time with your kids, do you feel like that maybe had an effect on your business and things like that, like a negative effect? How did that impact your work life?
Well, so I know that I wasn't able to spend as much time with my business as I probably could have because I was setting aside time for family. But honestly, I wouldn't trade it for anything because I have been successful in business. It's allowed me to do things that I'd never even dreamed of doing. I grew up in a poor family of 4 brothers and 2 sisters, and my parents didn't have a lot. And so I grew up without a lot of the things that now I wouldn't have even dreamed about as a kid.
Right.
And so to say that I really sacrificed stuff with my business, I don't know that that's true. There's no doubt that I could have made a lot more money if I just pushed my family to the side. But I'd probably be spending that money helping my kids to recover from things that went awry in their life because I wasn't there to spend it with them. So there's a trade-off. And for me, I was just fine not spending that time working on my business because now I have the time and the relationship with my family that means a lot more than the money that I could have been making.
So what would you say to people who want to start a business? They're just so overwhelmed with everything else in life right now and don't feel like they have the time.
So we're talking about people that have started families or people that are just growing up, people in general? Well,
Let's start with people who are, they're just starting life, haven't started a family yet. What would you say to them trying to decide if they should start a family and a business right now or if they should wait? Like you went through that. What would you say to those people?
obviously, I think you have to prayerfully consider what you want to do and follow what you feel is right. But I don't think you should necessarily prolong having a family for an extended time, because as we've talked about it, it really molds your character. It improves who you are as you deal with the struggles of trying to start a business and raising a family at the same time.
Right.
It really makes you who you are. So I would just say the main thing is that you're moving forward, you're constantly improving. And we've learned a lot in the last 100 years about how to be successful, things that you can do to be more healthy, mentally, physically, spiritually. And so I think as you learn to incorporate all those things in your life, learn to schedule, learn to be more organized, that is totally doable. You just have to do it the right way and you have to do it intentionally.
I've heard that the saying, you don't find time, you make time.
Right. If you were realistically to go through a full day of what you have scheduled, you'll see that you really do have a lot of downtime. And so you just have to manage that time more efficiently so that you can accomplish everything that you want to, including, and most importantly, spending time with your family.
I completely agree. So you talked about how spending time with your kids and raising kids and things like that, those taught you some life lessons. Do you feel like the lessons that you learned from raising kids helped you at all in your work and your career and things like that? Lessons that you learned from raising a family that they kind of...
Well, I would say
other parts of your
patience is one of the biggest things that you learn from raising kids. And perseverance, sticking with something. For instance, kids don't learn to do things the first time you tell them to. And so as a parent, you're constantly reminding them, hey, you need to do this, you need to do this. And that honestly would be a lot easier if you just quit reminding them and just did it yourself.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be more efficient and you'd have to worry about it less because your kids are always doing it. But as you look at the goal of why it is you're teaching that to your kid, then that's why that perseverance bleeds over into other aspects of your life where you don't quit, you keep at it. And business is a lot that way because business is difficult. A lot of the stuff that you do is trial and error. It doesn't always work out the first time. And so the perseverance that you learn with your kids can definitely bleed over to your business life where, hey, you have a vision, you know what the end goal is. You know what the end goal is for your kids. You know what you want to help them become. And so as you're doing it with your kids, you do it with your business too, because you have a vision of what you want your business to become and nothing's going to stop you from doing that. And so that's why you do that with your kids too, is because you know you have a vision of who you want them to become. You want them to be good members of society. You want them to keep their rooms clean and do all the good stuff that they're supposed to do. But it's certainly not easy to do. It's perseverance of just hammering it out day after day, reminding them, teaching them.
Right.
So I don't know if that's a good example, but
no, that is, yeah.
That's what I would think of.
I remember when I was growing up, I had the hardest time hanging my towel up after I took a shower. I just threw it on the ground in the bathroom and you would get so upset. And he would remind me, but instead of just doing it himself,
do you remember the
up,
phrase that we would always use? Did you forget to,
You get to pay your maid.
Yeah. I would always tell them, did you forget to pay your maid because they didn't pick up after you, and I'm not picking up after you.
Right.
So,
But I am proud to say that I hang up my towels now on my own. But I can also see, so my dad worked from home my entire life. I was used to him just being around. Even if we weren't hanging out all the time, he was like still present and could always
I was usually at the computer, but I could
Yeah.
be pulled away from it when I needed to.
Right, I come home from school. Hey, Dad. So I watched him always working a lot. I was in his work environment. And I remember so many days where there would be some kind of issue with, my dad's into digital marketing, and he's done a lot with that in his career. And it's such a,
It's always changing.
always changing. And so there's always new issues that he had to solve. But I noticed that he had the same mindset with raising us as he did in his business, because he was so determined to solve whatever problem was going on until he made it work. And honestly, that's where we're at right now. Digital marketing actually is one of the biggest growing industries in the world right now.
In the U.S.
In the U.S.
Forbes had an article about how fast it's growing. It is one of the fastest growing industries. And I can't remember how much revenue it's supposed to generate, but
it's like the highest paying job. Yeah. And so, I mean, we're getting into that. That's what we're doing. And the cool thing about digital marketing is
you could start it as a side business.
Right.
Kind of like what I did. I was working a full-time job and I started this business. It was actually an e-commerce business, but it involved digital marketing. And it was in the early days of digital marketing too. At least for me, it was the early days. There was no blogging, there was no YouTube, no social media, any of that. But I was able to start it on the side, and eventually the income replaced the 9-to-5 job that I had. And so then I was able to just quit my full-time job. I was working for IBM as a on-site tech, quit that job and just do my business full-time.
Yeah, and so in future episodes, we also want to talk about what kind of ways you can use digital marketing or online businesses and things like that to be successful so you can spend more time with your family. I mean, if you want to balance it, that's one good way to do it.
Yeah.
So for most people, it's impossible to balance work and family. And that's why we titled it, It's Impossible, unless you do this one thing. And so from your experience, what is that one key thing that you would say that helps you balance work and family?
So I mentioned it already, but it is to be intentional. You have to intentionally say, this is, you have to have a vision for what you want your family to be. And you have to be intentional. And so that means you have to put in place everything that you want to do to be able to accomplish that vision that you have for your family. Because if you're not intentional about it, if you don't schedule in the time, if you don't put everything into place that you need to, it's not going to happen. It just won't happen, because there are so many stresses and so many other things to do in life that will just push that out of the way and you'll never get to it. So you have to just schedule it. You have to be intentional. Like the story that I shared where we were going down and to the gym and learning a sport.
Mm-hmm. We had to schedule it.
We had to schedule it. And then it got to the point where, Zach, my Ashley's younger brother, he would come and wake me up. He would make sure that he woke me up. And some mornings I'm tired. I'm just laying there. My alarm went off. I shut it off and I'm sitting there thinking, please, let's just sleep in today. I don't want to do it today. Let's just sleep in. And then I hear these footsteps and there's Zach waking me up. Dad, can we go play? But it was intentional, and they knew that was their time. And they knew that I had a busy schedule, but I was willing to take my time out of my schedule to make time for them. And it was really meaningful to them. So that's the one key takeaway, is that you have to just plan it and schedule it and be intentional about it.
Right. And don't put it off till tomorrow. I would say just start today. We're starting this crazy adventure today with this podcast. And so honestly, when you're prioritizing, just plan it in.
And if you have kids and you're kind of facing this, you're relating to what we're talking about, and you're thinking, hey, I'm not spending the time that I need to with my kids. Is it too late? Are they even going to want to do it with me now, spend time with me now? They may not want to spend time with you, but it's never too late. I would say that if your kids are already so involved with friends and everybody else that they're like, dad and mom, I don't want to spend time with them anymore. They're not cool anymore. You got to think outside the box. You have to come up with something that you know they will enjoy and set aside that time, take them and just go do it. And if the first time it may be awkward, but who cares? Keep at it, right? That's how business is.
Yeah.
Things don't work the first time you try it. Just keep at it. And once they know that you genuinely care and you genuinely want to spend time and make that relationship with them, they'll give in at some point.
Right.
And then you can just continue to build from there. But you have to have that vision. You have to know where you want your family to be.
And that's how business is too. You got to have a plan of what you want.
Yeah.
Yeah. And just to reiterate what we've talked about today, family makes us better people. When you put the time into raising your kids, spending time with them. I mean, I haven't raised kids yet, but I can say from my own experience that my memories that I've made with my dad and with my family have made me who I am and taught me so many lessons. We've both learned lessons from our...
and it hasn't all been good, right? There's been times I know when I've had to really get onto my kids and they've at times not been very happy with me. But that's part of life. That's part of growing. That's part of learning a relationship. And when you can work through those things, then when you are married, like Ashley is a newlywed, then you're better at coping with your spouse and dealing with issues because you've learned to deal with those as you've been growing up in a family. Family is where you learn everything. So to clarify, it's not just digital marketing that we're getting into, it's affiliate marketing, which is a little bit different because I've done digital marketing my whole career, search engine optimization, running ads, you name it. I've done everything with digital marketing except for affiliate marketing. That's what we're going to pursue and really try to figure out. And so follow us on this journey as we learn affiliate marketing. And we're not talking about something that you're just trying to talk somebody into. It's things that we genuinely feel like have benefited our lives, and we share it with you.
So if you want to hear about our challenges and successes and things that you definitely should do and things you definitely shouldn't do, keep listening. Don't forget to check out our Instagram, Robco TV with 2 B's, ROBBCO TV. I'll put it at the top of the screen so you can see it, and follow our podcast.
It'll be Authentic Robins. We spent a lot of time together as a family recreating. We're getting ready to go do some recreation today, and it's something that we always look forward to, and
So join us.
we're going to include it in our videos.
Yep. Thanks for listening today, guys. We'll see you in the next episode.